What's good, everybody? I'm back with 5 more tips to help you improve at any FPS game. This one geared more towards the advanced player. So number 1, big difference between practice and play. Play is where you just sit down, grind out a couple hours of games, you have fun, you're not very critical, and you don't take it that seriously. Practice is a totally different ballgame where you are very critical and you identify weaknesses in your gameplay and focus specifically on those shortcomings, trying to improve them. So let's say you have really bad accuracy. You're going to spend your practice session that day identifying that problem and really honing in on how to improve your accuracy, whether that's recording the game and seeing if you're over-aiming or under-aiming, or whether that's going into a private match and firing at bots for 10 or 15 minutes before the game gets going. That is the difference. Practice is all about identifying that weakness, focusing on it, and trying to improve it. And it's usually focused on one specific area, like decision making or timings for power weapons, etc. Number 2, play with other players who are better than you. This can push your gameplay faster than a ton of things, and this applies to real life just like gaming. If you do a sport and you've ever had to play against much stronger players than you'll probably see that your level of play increases a lot faster than if you were just playing with people your skill level or below it. It's a whole lot more fun, obviously, to go in and pub stomp, but you're not going to improve as a player if the enemies are not exploiting your weaknesses. Stronger players will find your weak points and exploit them over and over and over again. Additionally, if you play with teammates who are better than you, you can ask them questions, you can learn so much from their map movement, decision making. Try and surround yourself with other players who are better than you, or get into a ranked environment like in Overwatch that pushes you to play with harder and harder opponents. Number 3, sharpen your decision making. This one comes down to all the decisions you make within a match, and you're making hundreds of small choices almost every single second. Like, am I helping my team with this push? Is this the right weapon to use? Am I using the correct hero to counter this guy? Or did I predict this dude's movement? Was this the right spot on the map to be on at this time in the game? You're making hundreds of small choices throughout the match, and even the best players at whatever shooter it is never have a perfect game. There's always that point, even if it's like their best game ever, that they could have said, I would have done this a little bit differently. And you have to be able to look back at your game when you finish it and say, what would I have done differently? Which parts of the game did I make really good choices at? And celebrate those successes, catalog them in your brain so you can recall them in future situations. But also look back at the areas where, like, man, I really shouldn't have challenged right there. That Genji knew what I was going to do, and he prepared for it, countered me, took me out. Or, I should have been there for the rocket launcher spawn in, Halo 5, so I can help out my teammate, get this power weapon, and then we would have secured a little bit more momentum that helped us push in for the win. Decision making is something that does not happen overnight, but it is an attitude, and you want to avoid blaming your teammates. Yes, in solo queue type matches, there are definitely going to be games you're going to lose because of your teammates, but that doesn't mean you can't look back at the match and say, well, even though we lost, I could have done this a little bit better. Number 4, fix your mechanics. This is where we get into the game-specific stuff and why the more advanced you get, the harder it is to give broader tips, because each game has its own set of map knowledge, counter pick knowledge, health packs, special ammo, power weapon timings, little unique nuances that are specific to that particular game. And the more you know about it, the better you're going to be able to make decisions. This builds upon the previous point. Mechanics are everything that you know used in conjunctions, best practices for that specific game. Like Overwatch, you really want to know how this hero operates in your team composition and how it will react to the enemy team's composition. That's just a base foundational thing you have to know for that game. Or like in Halo 5, you need to know where the power weapons are, or how the maps play out, or when the timings are for certain weapons. In Destiny, it comes down to the heavy weapon timing and the special weapon timing, and learning like the counter picks to different supers. Titanfall 2, knowing what weapons works against like this pilot at this certain range. Every shooter has its own one of these, but how do you develop this knowledge? A huge part of it is reading, watching, and learning. Watching other skilled players is a huge way to grow and improve your own gameplay. And this is the fun part, because you get to go out and find YouTubers and streamers you really like and analyze their gameplay. And this is where style also develops too. This is a great part of FPS games because every player has their own unique style, whether that's a certain character type they like to pick, or they're a very flashy or stylish player, maybe defensive or ultra aggressive, and that's how you get to build yourself up as a player. My final tip is the one I've given for a long time and the most important. Record your gameplay and watch it back when you can. Sure, we could talk about mouse DPI settings or disabling vibration on your controller. The perfect setup for the ultimate gameplay, but it always comes back to recording your gameplay and watching it. Because in the moment when you're playing, You do not get the same mental state that you do when you sit back and watch it. You cannot be as critical of yourself and your decisions from inside of the match because you're focused on making the next correct decision, not what did I just screw up, right? When you sit back and watch your gameplay regularly, your brain will go, oh, I should be moving there. I should be doing that. I totally missed that shot. It's so simple now. And this can help out too if you're a player who rages or gets angry easily, because when you go back and watch it, you'll see, oh, I actually played pretty good for most of it. I just made a couple of really dumb mistakes. So if at all possible, if you're on the new gen consoles, you've got a built-in DVR, and if you're on PC, there's plenty of ways like OBS to record your gameplay. That's going to do it for this video. If you guys found these helpful, please let me know with a like. If I missed anything, let me know about it down in the comment section below. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.